Welcome to Talk to Brazil with Tom Reaoch, the business connector to business in Brazil. Welcome to Talk to Brazil, the business connection, the world's first English language internet radio program about business in Brazil and now in podcast format. I'm Tom Reaoch, an American in Brazil for many years and known as the King of Networking, a speaker and author on networking. A professional business network is made up of people we meet every day. Our network grows and is sustained by maintaining contact with those connections. Podcasting is a modern form of networking. I'm talking from the city of Campinas in the state of São Paulo, Brazil, so when you talk to Tom, you talk to Brazil and the world. Today's guest is Rolf Geissinger. He's a German living and working in Brazil for over 20 years, and Rolf is a mechanical engineer from the University of Ehlen in Germany, has an MBA as a sales manager by the Academy of Vienna in Austria, and he's also the founder and CEO of OPTIMA do Brasil. That's headquartered in Vinhedo, the state of São Paulo, which is near Campinas. OPTIMA, and that's spelled O-P-T-I-M-A, is a subsidiary of OPTIMA Packaging Group Germany, a manufacturer of packaging and filling machines serving a range of market segments such as cosmetics, chemicals, disposable food, pharmaceutical, and hygienic products. Rolf will be keynote speaker at the upcoming Forum of Internationalization of Companies in Campinas, and he will be talking about continued success in the Brazilian market for more than 20 years. Talk to Brazil is a media partner for the event. So with that, hello, Rolf, and welcome to Talk to Brazil, and thanks for fitting us into your schedule.
Hello, Tom. Great talking to you. Thanks for calling me. I just started with OPTIMA already 26 years ago. This is something as well very new, very different in the market. Many people like to change companies, change into different companies. I'm with the same company already 26 years. Started OPTIMA do Brasil 1997. Just arrived in Brazil, 4 suitcases in hand, didn't even speak the Portuguese language. But
that was fun. I know that story well.
Okay. But then we just built up buildings over here. We started building machines. We found good engineers in Brazil, and we have good engineers in Brazil. This is something we really have to tell you. You find very good people in Brazil who know how to construct machines. I'm not in the car industry. I'm not in the agriculture industry. I'm in machine building. I just can talk about these issues. But there we have very, very good engineers. Even the Germans like to borrow those people to work in Germany because the way of thinking of the Brazilian engineers is different to the way of thinking in Germany. Germany thinks about machines, the big machines, the most sophisticated machines. This can do everything, fly, dive, and whatever. But we don't need this in upcoming markets. We need, in the upcoming markets, machines who just do their job.
They need something more practical, right?
Exactly, that's it. And the Germans offer machines which are great, which are perfect, which are running 24 hours, which are running in a perfect conditions. But Brazilians, from the history, they don't know what is going on tomorrow.
That's true. We're trying to figure out what happened yesterday, huh?
Exactly. If you think about production planning, I don't know if this order will come in for the production, for the filling machines, and if it comes, we need a machine for tomorrow. We have in the pharmaceutical industry, we have a delivery time of 15 to 20 months for machines from Germany. Wow. This type of planning is not the Brazilian way.
Well, Rolf, let me take advantage. That's a good point. You've been here, you said, for 26 years, and my experience is the same with other persons and other companies. Obviously, you have your headquarters in Germany. I'm sure this morning here in Brazil, you've already spoken to somebody in Germany. They've already called you and wanting to know the forecast for today, for lunch, for everything. How have you learned to explain Brazil to the people at your headquarters for all these 26 years? Because Brazil's been up and down, but your growth has been good. But how do you explain that? People call you and want to know what's happening. What do you say?
Yeah, this is, they always look at me and say, Rolf, who can make it in Brazil can make it all over the world, because there's no planning possible like in Brazil. You don't know what's going on every year. Last year we had a huge turnover. This year we are falling down. I think next year, I'm sure next year we're getting up again. And this is difficult to explain to the Germans. Right. But in the meantime, after 20 years, they believe in me. And they say, okay, this year there's not so much turnover in Brazil. We are decreasing about 40% this year, but we are increasing next year again, probably higher than 2018. What to do with the people? What to do with this well-trained technicians, right. Well-trained engineers? What is our focus in the company all over the world? We send the people to Germany. I have many people in Germany. They work in Germany. They get even the technology transfer done in Germany, and then they come back better trained. Hire and fire is a totally wrong way of working in Brazil, because till you get the right persons in the right place doing the right job, it will take a while.
Right, right. And you have to motivate them through the ups and downs.
Exactly. And Germany, when I travel to Germany, the owner of the company usually says, after 3 or 4 years, you're always coming and complaining about Brazil, because it's always getting up and down, always getting up and down. But in general, it's getting up. You know, the line is getting up. There's lots of, we call the mountain Matterhorn. It's right. A huge mountain. It's getting up, and on the other side, it's getting very steep down.
No, but to be fair, Rolf, and I agree with you, but as we look out into the world, we're talking about Brazil, but if we look over the last several years, the world itself has been through ups and downs. Europe is going up and down. The Asian countries and companies are going up and down. The world is no longer a level playing field. It's very difficult to plan anywhere.
Yeah, but it's not as it is in Brazil.
Brazil is special, right?
Extremely different. It's very, very special on this one. And, a company who is has just one leg on the floor, let's say this way, it's always difficult to get a break even, to get this lined up. We are working in diapers, femcare business. We are working in cosmetics, and we are working pharmaceutical. There's always something going on. As it is in Brazil right now, Brazil has a lot of demand in pharmaceutical issues.
Right.
The pharmaceutical industry was sleeping for many years in Brazil in new investments, in new technologies. That's the way that's coming in future.
Well, even cosmetics. Brazil is a leader, one of the world leaders in cosmetics.
In cosmetics, for sure. Cosmetics was always a good market in cosmetics. They have a huge growth every year. This is a very good market, but it is a different market since it was 5 or 10 years ago. This is why we have we did a partnership with a Brazilian company with MIT mid-cost level machines, not low-cost, mid-cost level machines. Let's say it this way. The issue is we have at Optima these high-level machines, and we don't have these entrance machines.
Right.
What happens? In the cosmetical area, the batches are not as big anymore as it was for 5, 6, 7 years ago. This means the production is today totally different because it's running one format maybe 3, 4, 5 hours, and then changing into another format, another bottle, another lotion, another cream or whatever. And some years ago, they were running just a week, this one format running through, and that's the product. Today is product to the market in the right time.
Right.
This is the issue at the moment, and therefore they need a lot of flexible machines, smaller machines, flexible machines.
That same thing is true for the food industry, the disposable food. And I've seen that. You walk into any supermarket today in Brazil, and the types of packaging, the sizes of packaging, the individual units, that's becoming a way of life here in Brazil, where before everybody bought large quantities, big boxes, big bags of everything once a month. Now it's sort of like the way I had seen it in Germany. You go in and you buy a single portion. And that's now available in packaging in supermarkets.
Yeah, look at the families. Families getting smaller.
Right.
8, 10 years ago, 6 children, 5 children, 7 children at home was almost normal in Brazil. Today is maybe 1 child, maybe 2, maybe none. This is the reality in Brazil as well. It's changing, and therefore you need small portions. If you have a big bottle of salad sauce, this will last you for 2 months, having the same taste.
That's true.
Therefore, even the market in coffee capsules is starting right now. We are building now the machines in Brazil for coffee capsules.
Right.
But it's not without even the company. In the past, you had one person serving coffee for the people inside, walking through, preparing the coffee, serving this one in a.
Recently I spoke with a woman who started a company, and her focus is in recycling the coffee capsules, which has now become a market as large almost as the recycling of aluminum beer cans. The capsules, most are aluminum, and they're all being recycled. People are looking for ways to recycle the capsule because they're being used so much.
Exactly. But this is another issue. Germany has coffee capsules, 700, 1,000 per minute. In Brazil, we need 100 per minute.
Right.
Because it's a new market, it's upcoming, and it is a huge difference in technology.
Well, small can be good, right? And really the small runs, as you said, I mentioned at the beginning, flexibility and adaptability are 2 words that any company coming to Brazil needs to be thinking about. One thing I'd like you to share with our listeners, what are your tips? Companies wanting to come to Brazil, I know within your company, they look at you, they see your success. They say, well, Rolf is there in Brazil and he keeps doing his thing. But for somebody, a company, an investor looking at Brazil today, what are your tips? What do you say to other people? I know you just got back from Chicago this week. You were traveling. You run into people, and everybody says Brazil. What do you say?
Yeah, let's do it. The only thing is Brazil has a huge market. We are more than 200 million people. And we just have to think about what is the future in 2 or 3 or 5, 4 years. This will not be from today to tomorrow, but you can make it in Brazil. Look at Sao Paulo. Sao Paulo is the biggest industry city of Germany. There's so many industries with a lot of success, and they can do it. Why newcomers should not make it? But they have to put the right person in the right place, because usually you should have the little bit, if there's a German company over there, I would recommend to have a German person who knows how the business works in place over here, and then it will be a success. and it must be communication. You have to have the person who is able to talk to customers, to do it, to make networking as you do it.
Right.
If you are, if you're introverted, forget it. Brazil is extroverted. Brazil has to talk with hand and feet, and this is something you need somebody to go ahead like this.
Well, that's a good point. But now the other side of the same coin. You're going to be speaking this coming week to a group mostly of Brazilians and looking to making their companies more international in its presence. What are your tips to Brazilians of how to get out into the market? Because the same thing is true. There are thousands of opportunities outside in the world for Brazilian companies and for Brazilian persons. What are your tips to them? What do you say they should do?
You have to see what is going on outside. I'm exporting about 50% or more than 50% of my machines outside of Brazil, not in Latin America, to Turkey, to Europe. Even we have the mother company in Germany. I was just checking. The mother company makes one type of machine, but there's an additional of this machine which Germany is not doing. We have been developing this in Brazil, and we have been developing this for very attractive costs in Brazil, and this is the reason why we could get in the market all over the world with some machines, because there are some areas where the mother company is not working on what's, as we said, as I said before, with the lower cost machines,
right,
the smaller machines, what we are doing, we will export more and more machines in this range into the world. Because it's we have high-tech everything in Germany, but we do not have the entrance machines in Germany.
That's a good point, and I think that's a good point for Brazilian companies. And I've seen that in other the low run, a reasonable costing machine, for startup economies and startup. Today we see more there are startup companies. People are starting up everything from the ground up and in a very small scale. So if they have access to a machine that can do that, they're in business.
Mm-hmm. This is right. And even in Brazil, for newcomers from outside coming to Brazil with this interest rate and everything, now Brazil is getting more and more attractive, and build the machines over here. You have to get a good quality control and then export this one. This is, I think, it's very attractive even of the exchange rate and everything. You can. Why have I been in United States just making some advertisement for the new lower cost machines?
Good.
See what's going on, and this will work. And the people over there, they said, "Oh, this is great because we have the huge customers with our huge machines, but they are asking for smaller machines." And this is where we are going to.
It's a nice fit. And when you're talking about cost for foreigners, companies, and investors. The word custo Brasil, the cost of doing business in Brazil, is always something that mystifies persons. How do you handle the custo Brasil? Because really the cost of doing business in Brazil, I'm guessing, is different than the cost of doing business in Germany. How do you and how have you adjusted to that?
Yeah, this is one big issue. Building machines in Brazil. We have built more than 800 packaging machines already in Brazil. In our company here in Vinhedo, we have a small subsidiary in Joinville as well. And people always say, "Oh, yeah, it's much cheaper in Brazil," and so on. If you have a good quality, it's almost the machines made in Germany, made in Brazil. It's almost the same cost if you make it the same way. Therefore, you have to nationalize it in order to reduce costs. Take this out, what you don't need. Take this out, what is nice to have, and so on, in order to get machines for the market in Brazil. But from the cost point of view, Brazil is not a cheap country to produce.
Yeah, because when you look at the tax structure, when you look at the charges for employees, benefits, what have you. That's the differential that you look at.
Yeah, that's right. But this makes Brazil expensive, and not expensive, but not much cheaper than it is in Germany.
Right.
But what happens if you import a machine from Germany and you have no X tariff? X tariff means no import taxes on top of it. Then the machine will automatically get 35% more expensive from Germany. And if you have a local producer for the same machine, well, how can you import this one? How can you explain to the customer that your machine imported from Germany or from whatever is 35% more expensive than the machine local produced? That's the issue.
Well, very good, Rolf. I want to thank you. We're coming to the end of our time for the program, but I do want to thank you for sharing your time and your information with our audience today. And I look forward to meeting you personally next week at the forum, okay?
Okay, that would be great. Thanks talking to you, and we see us next week at the forum.
Will do. And I'd also like to invite our guests to visit our website, which is talktobrazil.com. That's TALK, the number 2, BRAZIL.com, where you will find today's interview with Rolf. That's Geissinger. Rolf, pronounce your last name correctly, please.
It's Geissinger. Very
good.
And first name is Rolf, ROLF.
And you'll find more information about Rolf and links to his LinkedIn profile, as well as the OPTIMA website, and a link to the Forum of Internationalization in Campinas, which will be on September 24th. You can also find this in our previous shows of Talk to Brazil on Spotify, Apple Podcast, TuneIn, Himalaya, CastBox, Google Podcast, and many others. And thank you, our audience, and remind everyone that today's program was brought to us by Focus MI Market Intelligence, and Focus MI specializes in market research for the Brazilian agricultural market. More about them on their site, focusmi.com. That's FOCUSMI.com. Goodbye, and thanks for listening. Thanks for listening to Tom Reaoch on Talk to Brazil, the business connector to Brazil.